The scent of fresh jollof rice filled the air as the families gathered in the expansive courtyard of the Akinlaid family compound. Laughter and conversations buzzed around like the flies that occasionally landed on the uncovered dishes. In the corner, a group of children played, their voices rising in play and teasing. But amidst the festivities, Tiwa stood slightly apart, her eyes following the movements of her younger sister, Sade, dressed in an elegant lace gown. Tiwa's lips formed a tight line, a shadow of emotion passing over her face. "Ah, Tiwa, why the long face on such a joyous day?" asked Aunt Bola, sidling up to her with a knowing smile. Tiwa attempted a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I'm just tired, Auntie. Weddings, they can drain energy, you know." "Nawao." Aunt Bola chuckled. "But your sister is the star today, N?" Her husband's family really pulled all the stops for this wedding. Tiwa nodded silently but glanced towards Sade again, a flicker of worry in her eyes. The drumming and dancing carried on as dusk settled, the golden lamps lighting up the courtyard like stars. Tiwa's mother, Mama Tiwa, approached, her jewel perfectly tied. "My daughter, why are you standing alone here?" she asked, gently placing a hand on Tiwa's shoulder. "I'm fine, Mima," Tiwa replied, forcing another strained smile. "I'm just observing." Mama Tiwa frowned slightly. "I know that look. What's really on your mind?" Tiwa sighed, glancing over at Sade and her new husband, Bayo, who were surrounded by friends and family. "Mama, something feels off." "Bayo, I don't trust him fully." Mima Tiwa sighed, glancing at her daughter with a gentle but guarded expression. "Tiwa, not today. Let's talk after." The festivities died down as families began to leave, but Tiwa lingered. She watched as Bayo whispered to Sade, soft murmurs that made her sister's face light up. Tiwa felt a prickle of unease watching him. As Bayo excused himself from the group, Tiwa, unable to hold back any longer, followed him quietly until they were away from the party. "Bayo," Tiwa called, her voice steady but with an edge. He turned, surprise flickering across his face. "Tiwa. What's the matter?" Tiwa crossed her arms. "You've been behaving strangely. I see the way you look at my sister when she isn't watching." Bayo's smile faltered slightly. "And what do you mean by that?" "Your sister is my wife." "Exactly why I'm concerned," Tiwa shot back. "If there's something you're hiding, I will find out." Bayo's expression turned hard for a brief moment, before softening into a defensive smile. "I understand your concern, but trust me, everything is fine." Inside the house, Tiwa paced restlessly. The events of the night weighed heavily on her mind. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, a message from an unknown number. She opened it to see a candid photo of Bayo with another woman, accompanied by a terse message, "Ask him about Tulu." Her heart skipped a beat. She clenched her jaw, feeling a mix of anger and determination flood through her. The betrayal felt tangible, like a thorn lodged deep inside her chest. The next morning, Tiwa sat at the family breakfast table, her mind turning over the late-night revelation again and again. Sade entered, her cheeks flushed with happiness. "Sister," Sade chirped, placing a peck on Tiwa's cheek, "thank you for everything yesterday." Tiwa forced a smile, the words from the night before tasting bitter in her mouth. "Sade, can we talk later? Sometime when it's just the two of us?" Sade looked puzzled but nodded. "Of course, anything wrong?" No. Just missed those sister chats." That afternoon, Tiwa and Sade sat on the veranda, the warm sun casting lazy patterns on the ground. Tiwa decided to speak, she couldn't hold it in any longer. "Sade, I need to ask you something serious," Tiwa said, her voice firm but gentle. "What is it?" Tiwa hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "Do you know someone named Tulu? Someone connected to Bayo?" Sade's bright demeanor dimmed slightly. "Tulu? I've heard the name, but Bayo said she's just a friend from before." "Why?" Tiwa handed her phone over to Sade, showing her the message and photo. "This was sent to me last night." Sade studied the screen, her expression turning from confusion to hurt. "This isn't true, Tiwa." "It can't be." Tiwa placed a reassuring hand on her sister's. "We need to be sure." Let's find out the truth together. The following days, anxiety hung like a cloud over Tiwa and Sade. Tiwa played her role as the concerned sister, but every silent moment and hidden glance was pinched with tension. Bayo, meanwhile, remained outwardly unbothered, his laugh boisterous, his demeanor unworried. But Tiwa's resolve was firmer than ever. She had begun making calls, reaching out to friends and acquaintances, scraping every bit of information she could. The information trickled in slowly, pieces of a puzzle that began to form an ugly picture. Tiwa learned Tulu was not just a friend, she was Bayo's other life. The shock of it energized Tiwa with grim determination. She shared the findings with Sade, the betrayal knocking the wind from her sister's sails. Sade, though reeling, amazed Tiwa with her composure. Instead of immediate tears, she turned steely, her jaw set in defiance. "We have to confront him, openly. No more secrets," Sade said, her voice steady but edged with heartbreak. Tiwa nodded, her admiration for her sister welling up. Despite the impending confrontation, they would face this challenge together. The night of the confrontation arrived swiftly. Tiwa and Sade invited Bayo to a quiet dinner at their family compound, under the pretense of family bonding. As they sat down, Tiwa's phone vibrated a message from an unlisted number. Stay silent at the wedding. Her stomach dropped, but the stakes were too high for her to retreat now. Tiwa watched Bayo closely throughout dinner, noting every hesitation and false smile. She waited until the last plate was cleared before speaking up. "Bayo," Tiwa began, her voice steady, "we need to talk." "About Tulu." He froze, fork halfway to his mouth, like a deer caught in headlights. The color drained from his face, a sure sign that Tiwa's suspicions were valid. Sade spoke next, her voice surprisingly strong. "No more lies, Bayo. Tell us the truth. Who is Tulu?" He stammered, attempting to dismiss it as a misunderstanding, but Tiwa cut him off with calm resolve. "We have proof, Bayo. Photos, messages. It's over." A heavy silence settled over the table, broken only by Bayo's strained voice. "Fine. Tulu is someone I used to be with. But it's over now." Tiwa's gaze hardened. "Do we have your word? What's to stop you from lying again?" Bayo's shoulders slumped in defeat. "I can show you the end of it, if you'll let me. I want this with Sade." Sade's trust, once so solid, was now a delicate thread she wasn't sure Bayo could mend. But watching him grapple with the truth exposed a vulnerability she hadn't seen. Tiwa stood by her sister's side, her mission clear. Whatever their decision, she would support Sade through the battlefield of emotions. Later that night, as Tiwa lay in the quiet dark of her room, reflecting on the evening, her phone buzzed again. This time, a new message, and with it, attached a shocking video that didn't just show Bayo with Tulu, but with another woman. Her heart pounding, she realized the stakes had just gotten higher. And she was about to discover how deep the betrayal ran. The war she started was just beginning, and silence would not be her weapon of choice. Tiwa's fingers trembled as she replayed the video on her phone, the images burning a painful truth into her mind. The quiet hum of crickets outside only heightened the tension cramping the thick air inside the room. She marched to the living room, where Sade sat, her eyes puffy from the remnants of their earlier confrontation with Bayo. "Sade," Tiwa's voice was gentle yet urgent, "there's something else you need to see." "What now?" Sade asked, her voice a mix of exhaustion and apprehension. Tiwa hesitated, feeling the weight of truth like a boulder in her chest. "Bayo's betrayal is deeper than we thought." Sade's eyes were glued to the screen, each second intensifying the storm swirling in her heart. Betrayal, once suspected, now confirmed thrice over. She leaned back, her expression taut with anger. "I'll never forgive him, Tiwa. Never." Tiwa shifted closer, drawing her sister into a hug. "We'll make sure he regrets underestimating us," she vowed. Sade nodded, pain knitting with determination. "Yes. Let's expose him. Everyone has to know who he really is." Gathering herself, Tiwa called the family together the next day, anger stealing her resolve. As they sat in the courtyard, the morning sun casting long shadows, Tiwa addressed them. There's something you all should know about Bayo, she began, her voice clear as a bell slicing through the morning fog. Startled whispers erupted, faces turning curious and concerned. Enough is enough, Tiwa continued, releasing the tension from within her chest. He's deceiving us all. Bayo, drawn out by the murmur of his name, approached the gathering with weary suspicion. What is this about, Tiwa? Why are you doing this? He demanded, attempting to maintain his crumbling bravado. I have proof, Bayo. You're manipulating my sister and this entire family, Tiwa declared, thrusting her phone at him. Sade watched, the anger in her eyes reflecting like mirror shards. He glanced at the screen, visibly unraveling, struggling as the weight of his transgressions shackled him before the family's penetrating stares. Caught in the tangle of his own deceit, Bayo floundered. Guilt like a flood burst its dam, spilling into his words of apology and fractured explanations. Minutes stretched unbearably, the air thick with the family's shock and the threat of unspoken judgment. Mama Tiwa's voice cut through the chaos, sharp yet calm. This house, she said softly yet firmly, was never built on deceit. And it will not stand for it. For now, Tiwa, Bayo attempted one last plea, his voice a mix of desperation and regret. I just don't know why. Bayo, she interrupted, it's clear now. Your actions have consequences. The family sat with quiet fury, eyes reflecting betrayal, love, and dignity all at once. His defeat was visible, shoulders sagged under the weight of shame. Yet amidst the turmoil, a shift began within Tiwa. Her heart, harboring seeds of revenge, felt the year's teachings whispered back into her being by something unseen yet certain. Revenge won't fix this, her mother echoed with an ethereal calm, reminiscing softly, but truth, Tiwa, truth and grace can. The elders in the room, guardians of tradition and peace, spoke up. We cannot condone what you've done, Bayo. But we must seek a path that heals, rather than destroys further, said Uncle Kola, a respected voice in family affairs. Tiwa felt the sting of justice unmet, yet the whisper of her mother's words clung to her, softening the edge of her determination. Sade's voice broke into the silence. But how do we find peace, Uncle? After such betrayal? By seeking forgiveness, Sade, Aunt Bola interjected. For yourselves, if not immediately for him. Sade shook her head, tears pooling. Forgiving him feels like absolving his betrayal. But it's not about him, Aunt Bola replied, it's about freeing you. His chains cannot bind you if you choose God's freedom instead. As night enveloped the compound, the echoes of the day's revelations lingered, a quiet eeriness threading through the corridors like a thread seeking its needle. Tiwa sat alone, prayerful, as the moon peeked over the horizon, illuminating her path to a truth she knew deep down but hadn't embraced. She found herself whispering, "Guide us, Lord. Help me let go." Tiwa returned to the courtyard where her mother sat, both women reflective, gazing into the distance of their own thoughts. "Mama," Tiwa began, her voice a quilt of emotions, "I've been so focused on making Bayo pay, thinking it would bring us peace. And now," her mother's eyes were soft pools of wisdom. "Now I understand, Mama. I can't carry the weight of revenge. It's too heavy," Tiwa admitted, feeling a strange relief washing over her. Resting a hand on Tiwa's shoulder, Mama Tiwa shared softly, "There's true strength in letting God take your burdens. It's okay to seek justice, but justice without love leads to ruin." Tiwa nodded, a sliver of hope unfurling. "I need to talk to Sade," she said, feeling a sudden urgency to share this new sense of possibility with her sister. Later that evening, Tiwa found Sade in her room, staring at the ceiling, lost in thought. "Sade," she started, approaching her sister with care, Sade looked at her, understanding cradling each corner of her heart. "I know, Tiwa. I've been thinking. Revenge can't fill the gap Bayo left, can it?" Sade asked, a resigned sorrow in her voice. "No," Tiwa replied, "only we can uphold God's peace, allowing it to fill these empty spaces." In the days that followed, Tiwa and Sade chose to confront their situation with resilience. They acknowledged the pain, not denying it, but allowed God's comfort to amplify their healing instead. They spoke to Bayo, with the family bearing witness, extending an olive branch of forgiveness, though tentative and imperfect, rooted nonetheless in the soil of their faith. Their decision did not erase the scars, but began the process of redemption, the kind that only a peace beyond understanding could offer. As the sun kissed the horizon one afternoon, Tiwa stood at the window of her room, the Bible softly aglow in the copper light beside her. Her fingers traced the words she found resonating deeply with her struggle, a psalm of quiet surrender, moments before she closed her eyes and whispered a prayer of thanks for strength she hadn't known she held. "Thank you, Lord, for showing me that letting go isn't weakness, but a door to freedom," she breathed, feeling the bright burn of truth cut through the last threads of vengeance. Tiwa realized that she wasn't alone in this journey. She had her family, her sister, and a guide far greater than anything this world could delude with fleeting strength, a savior reaching through time to grant peace with every uplifted, trusting heart. As she opened her eyes, a tear slipped down her cheek, not of sorrow, but of grace healing the promise of tomorrow.
Thank you so much for listening to this intriguing story. I hope it touched you or taught you something. For more stories like this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the page. And guys, if you'd like to see a part 2, or you have thoughts on what happened, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next story.